please welcome to the stage your next speaker, Graham Frost.
A few weeks after my 17th birthday, I walked out of my parents' home with all my belongings packed into 6 plastic carrier bags. I walked down the road to the railway station, looked behind me to see both my mother and father walking along, following me down the road, both in tears. I'd never seen my father cry before. They didn't know what to do. I wasn't to see my mother again for 27 years. I would suggest to you that whatever change there is that you might need to make in your life, it might not be quite as big as that. You're all probably thinking to yourselves now, why would somebody at the age of 17 take the huge decision in London to go off into the world on their own? I'm going to tell you a little bit of that story this morning. I was born in 1956. Yes, I know, I don't look old enough. Into what can only be described as a fundamentalist Christian cult. The only friends I had were other members of the cult. I was fortunate in that I had 5 male cousins, and I was like their younger brother, and spent quite a lot of time together. When I went to school, we were one of the groups that used to sit out of assembly alongside the Jehovah's Witnesses and other rather strange people. And we had no television or radio. And can you imagine growing up in the 1960s and not being able to listen to the Beatles or the Rolling Stones? What couldn't you do without now? Most people say they couldn't do without their mobile phones. Imagine growing up without the essentials in life of music and radio and maybe television. So when I went to school, I didn't have any conversation to have with anybody, because everyone talked about music. Everyone talked about what had been on television the night before, even if it was a small black and white television in those days. Pretty soon, I began to wonder if this was really the life for me. When I was 12 years old, I got in trouble with the police. Shock, horror. I was arrested for stealing pick and mix from Woolworths. Anybody else here ever stolen pick and mix from Woolworths? Thank goodness. It's not just me, we have other criminals in the room. However, I was with a friend of mine who I wasn't supposed to have, and we decided we were going to go off and do something naughty. And walking out of Woolworths with a few pick and mix in my pocket, I suddenly found a hand on my shoulder, and it was the store detective. I was arrested with my friend, and the police had to go round to my parents' house and get my dad to come down to the police station, because we didn't have a phone in the house in those days. As a result of that, my cousins were told not to talk to me anymore because I was a bad influence. So I became a little bit depressed. I became a bit of a bookworm. I started reading a lot. And that was my salvation, because I realised that there was a life outside of the cult that I was being brought up in. When I was 12, we moved to London, and I went to a new school where there weren't any members of the cult. And I realised that the people that I'd been told that I shouldn't associate with were okay. Eventually, at the age of 16, in my 1 O level, I left school, got a job in an office. And I realised that the people who worked in that office were not bad people. When I'd been there for a few months, they invited me to the pub on Friday lunchtime. Now, some of you here are old enough to remember the days when you went to the pub on Friday lunchtime from the office. Not a whole lot of work got done in the afternoon. This was one of those places. And guess what? I thought something terrible would happen to me because I'd been to the pub. I thought at least I'm going to have to get out of the way of the bus or something. Nothing happened. I've been brought up to believe that if I did bad things, such as going to the pub and socialising with people that I shouldn't be, that something terrible would happen to me. Nothing happened. So guess what I did? The following week I went again. And I began to tell my parents lies. I used to go out on my bicycle and go and associate with people that I shouldn't be. And eventually I realised that I couldn't live two lives. So I went and got myself a job in a bar. It's true. It just happened. These things happened. I was 17 years old. Some people I knew were moving to West London. They'd taken over a pub there. I just asked them if they could give me a job, not expecting them to say yes. And they said, yeah, come and talk to us. I went over there, and that was how I left home. With all my belongings in 6 carrier bags. Why in 6 carrier bags? Because my parents wouldn't lend me a suitcase because they didn't want me to go. And within a year of that, I had gone from being completely repressed to being completely released to the point where I fell into some bad company. This was where I had to learn a lesson, a very valuable lesson. It took about 2 years to learn this lesson, that you need to look for positive role models in your life. I didn't. I just went with anybody who would have me. You know, we all have this sense of needing to belong. Some of us get it from coming here. I needed to belong. I decided I was going to belong to some bad people. And I went into a life of petty crime for probably about 6 to 9 months. If you want to know more about it, you're going to have to talk to me afterwards, because I don't have time to tell you the whole story today. But eventually I went to Borstal. That was where they used to send naughty boys when they weren't quite old enough to go to a proper prison. I went to Borstal, and the sentence was for 6 months to 2 years. And if you were really good, you got out in 6 months. If you were really bad, you stayed the whole 2 years. I got out after a year, so I was somewhere in the middle. And eventually my personal officer sat me down one day, and he said, Frosty, he said, you're not a criminal. He said, we have criminals that come here. We know that they're going to be criminals probably for the rest of their lives. You're not one of those people. You need to stop following the wrong people and find the right people to follow. That's where I learned that. I learned that lesson from him. After that, within 3 or 4 weeks, I was out. Luckily, the people I was working for by then had seen something in me. I don't know what it was, and I had a job to go back out to. And I went to work in another pub in Westminster, just around the corner from New Scotland Yard, of all places, where I still go occasionally to relive my past when I'm working around the corner from there. So my message to you is whatever change you need to make in your life, it won't be, almost certainly, as big as the one I had to make. And make sure, when you're looking for people to follow, you choose people that are going to take you in a positive direction rather than a negative direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Good job. Have a seat. Thank you. You can have a seat, my darling. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was really